Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing an Instagram followers pick my makeup kind of video. Last week I posted some polls on my Instagram story comparing two products for each category like foundation, concealer, eyeshadow, and I would allow my followers to pick one or the other and see which one would win. So I have all the results and we're going to go through each category and kind of just get ready with each other. I'm using the same primer I always use, so I kind of skipped over that. And we're going to go into the foundation that I went up against each other. The first one is the Ordinary Coverage Foundation, the one in the pump. And the other one that I put up against it was the Beauty Blender Bounce Liquid Whip Longwear Foundation. This one actually ended up winning, so we're going to go in with that today. I've been testing out this foundation for a little bit now, and I really like it. And it's perfect for every day and has a really nice natural finish, and it's not hard to put on. And I've noticed on the Ulta site that there's been some mixed reviews on it. Some people think that they thought it was too light, which with my kind of skin and the things that I have to cover up, I find the coverage to actually be pretty good, so it kind of depends on personal preference, I guess, but so far I've been really happy with it, and it's really affordable. I believe it was like $6.50, so it's really good, and I would recommend trying it out if you haven't yet, because it's affordable and it's good for every day. So going ahead and putting that all over the face. I've increased a lot of my subscriber count lately, so thank you all for doing that. Hopefully, we can get to like the 100 milestone and just keep going from there. Yes, like I don't really see how it could be light coverage. I just feel like even the difference just before going to this side of the face. And it blends out really easily, and yeah, I just really like it. It's good. I'll go ahead and blend out the rest of it off camera so that you guys aren't bored. We're going to go ahead and do the brows before we get to the concealer just to get out of the way. The first one that we have is the Morphe Brow Pencil in the shade Hazelnut. And the other one is the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim in the shade Deep Brown. The Morphe one actually won, so we're going to go ahead and use that. The thing that's kind of funny is that like this isn't really like my true accurate shade, so I'm kind of surprised it won. But we'll use it anyway because it works still. It's just the other one was a better shade. But it's definitely a harder pencil. Like this one doesn't have as much glide. It's definitely not waxy. It's just very stiff, if that makes sense. Honestly, anymore, I don't add a whole lot to my brows. Like, I'll just kind of go into these little sparse areas here. And, like, the tail to try to define it. But other than that, I don't really do any, like, super high detailing on the brows. Just because I feel like I've gotten to the point where I've realized that since my brows are already grown in a lot, which you'd be surprised how many people said that they would die for my brows. I've just gotten to the point where I just don't do a lot because I just don't need it. And then getting that Benefit Gimme Brow Gel to the tinted makes it even faster. Like sometimes I don't even go through this process. Yeah, so we're going to go into concealer next. Now for concealer, the two that I put against each other was the Tarte Shape Tape, the Tried and True, and the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, the Satin Finish one. The Tarte Shape Tape won by a little bit. It was really close the whole time. I should mention with the Ordinary and the Beauty Blender Foundation, I had to run the poll a second time because it was literally 50-50. There was 18 votes on the Ordinary and 18 votes on the Beauty Blender, which I couldn't believe because I was like, one has to win. I can't really do both of these. So we're just going to take this and put them under the eye. Put a little bit on my Cupid's bow. I've kind of gotten more into that lately. I used to do it a lot when I was younger, but I kind of phased out of it. But it kind of helps with the highlighting and all that, so. I'm actually going to go in with the concealer brush that came in my Ipsy bag last month. I forgot what brand it is. Up there It's the, I can't read that. Bow something. It's that angled one. If you get Ipsy, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of people got this one. It's got a nice angle on it. It's kind of got that 45-degree angle. That's really good for the under eye. I've been trying to get used to using this because I've used sponges for concealer for the longest time. So, it's really soft and it blends out okay, so. One thing I've started doing recently is like right here with like the eye. When you get to that area with the concealer, I kind of just blend out that line so that you don't get that harsh edge right there. I also like taking this brush around the nose. That's always a problem that I have is the foundation wanting to pile up right here around the nose. So I'll just kind of take the brush and kind of just blend it out. That way we don't get that little collecting area there. We'll do that same thing on this side and just kind of blend it upward so you don't get that line of demarcation. Alright, so we're going to do powders next. For powders, we've got the Maybelline Super Stay Full Coverage Powder Foundation versus the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder. This one actually won by a lot, which I'm not surprised because people don't really set their foundation with pressed powders much anymore, especially powder foundation. So this one was an easy win, which I'm glad it was because I prefer using this anyway. I kind of just wanted to change up the choices and the options on the poll. So I'll just hurry up and set the face real quick and bake the under eye. I actually decided not wet my beauty blender today because one, I didn't feel like it. Anyone else really? And I've never really used it dry before, so I kind of thought about trying out to see what it would do. I'm gonna go back and tap this concealer out one more time and then set it. Because you really want to make sure that you don't set any creases, because once they're set, they're stuck. Alright, that side's done. And I also think that having it dry would maybe help with how much the product is absorbed. That's why some people don't like the sponges, because they really soak in a lot of your product and you end up losing some of it along the way. So that's why with brushes it doesn't absorb as much, and they're probably easier to clean too. I think after this I'll kind of do eye primer real quick and then we can jump into the eyes. Yeah, this is definitely a powder I would repurchase. It sets really well and it blends with other products like the blush and the bronzer really well, so I would definitely recommend it. I use the shade Fair if anyone wants to know what shade it is. Alright, we'll jump into eye primer real quick. The two eye primers were the Anastasia eye primer in the silver tube and the NYX Proof It waterproof one. This one actually ended up winning, which I was kind of surprised because I figured people would want one that was more clear and was easier to put on. Like that one has a doe foot. But since this one won, we're just going to go in with it. The thing that's nice about this primer is you don't need a lot, like I've talked about before. And I just kind of take my finger and blend it out half the time. It can almost be comparable to like a concealer if you wanted to use one of those instead. That angled brush I used to blend out the concealer is also really good for this, if you don't want to use it for under eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit. Well, I say a little bit and then it squeezes out. That's why you gotta be careful with this. Like, this is still really heavy, and I bought this like a year ago. You don't need a lot, so it lasts a long time. We're just using all 5 fingers. Oh, God. I gotta put it all over here. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and jump into eyeshadow. The 2 eyeshadow palettes that we had up against each other were the Too Faced Enchanted Forest one, which I've featured this before on my channel, so I'll just show a little bit of it. If it'll open. So you've got the eyeshadows, and you've got the highlighters and all the blushes. Then the other one was the Morphe 39A Dare to Create palette, which this one's huge, about as big as my head. It's got all those colors in there. This one actually ended up winning, so we're going to make a quick and nice look with it. I think we're going to try to use some of the... Oh, I did green recently on my my Instagram, so... we might do something in this realm on the reds over here. So, we'll grab some brushes and get started. We're going to start off with a little bit of a transition shade. I'm going to take that big one in the middle. That one. This palette's so big, it's just hard to pick up. It's not like a simple palette. I'm just going to take that and kind of get a little bit of transition shade going. Not a whole lot, just something to help with the blendability and look of it. I'm trying to think of some stuff to talk about. Our weather here has been really annoying. It's rained here the last, I think, 8 days now. It feels like it's never been ending, and yeah, definitely not loving the weather right now. And it's annoying because it's trying to kill some of our flowers, which is irritating because we planted those not so long ago, so it's like, great, and try to do anything, and then Mother Nature just ruins it. Yeah, just got the the transition shade all done there, so we'll go into the crease shade next. Love how we went from the transition shade to that. I'm going to take that pink shade that's kind of up in the corner here, in the magentas. Wow, come on now. Up in the magentas here. I've kind of taken that and kind of smoked it out in the whole crease area, just to kind of give it that good smoked out look and kind of blend it in with the transition shade a little bit. Trying to make the thing focus. I don't know if we'll do a cut crease just because that we did one last video, so I might just keep this a pretty simple. I say simple, but yeah, like, look what color we're doing. But yeah, that's kind of good for now. I'm going to take that same shade and put it over here. One thing I like to do when I first start using like bold colors like this, I take the brush and kind of just like stamp it on instead of like full on blending it immediately. Kind of guide out where you're going to put the color. That way you can get a better stick and just kind of where you want it. And then you can slowly kind of get into the windshield wiper motions and the circle blending that we're typically used to. Yeah, definitely a more bright look that I've done on here, but we kind of needed it, so. Alright, we'll go ahead and go with the lid shade next. I'm kind of trying to experiment with one of the shimmers. I'm not loving how it blends in with these two, just like color-wise. So I think I'm going to take that little darker shade that was next to the magenta and kind of just deepen the crease a little bit. Because I thought in the pan that the shimmer shade that I put on was a lot more pinky, but it ended up being a lot more warm tone, kind of almost a copper than I thought it would be. So I'm gonna try to fix that. This is definitely giving it more dimension, which is good. Because in the pan it looks like, I'll show you the palette. It looks like that one, but then when you swatch it, it's like, I don't know. It just looks really orange, which it doesn't look like that on the pan, so I don't know why it did that. But since this is the palette we have to work with, we're gonna make it work. Because I can't just pull out another palette, because that's not what people chose. I'm gonna go ahead and add that magenta shade to the outer V here. I'll take a little bit of this dark purple that's at the end, just to kind of deepen that. Yeah, I think it turned out okay. Just kind of had to work with it a little bit. I'll go ahead and do the other eye off camera. The eyeliners that went against each other were the Makeup Revolution Renaissance Flick eyeliner and the Maybelline Hyper Easy eyeliner. This one was actually kind of close for a while, but then the Makeup Revolution one pulled through, so we're going to go ahead and use that one. I was kind of unsure about which one would win, just because people like both of them, and I've heard good things about both, so it kind of just fell in between what people preferred. I really like this one. It's very different compared to the Maybelline one. The Maybelline one is definitely more of a brush tip. This one's a felt tip, so it's not as flimsy. I'm gonna take the line for the wing. And then take this and go back. I'll have to do like a detailed eyeliner video at some point, because I always get a lot of people asking how I do mine, and so I'll have to do a video when I go really into depth of what I do. Well, I'll go ahead and do the other eye off camera just to save time. Got the lashes curled. The two mascaras that went against each other was the Anastasia Lash Brag and the Essence Volume Stylist 18-hour one. This one actually ended up winning, so we're gonna go in with that one. It was actually another pull that was close for a while, but I figured this one would pull through just because it's kind of a more known mascara. We'll take that. I feel like for some reason the most things I've been buying lately is mascaras. I think that just because like mascaras are the one thing on the market that have just been coming out like crazy recently. So you've got like the Maybelline Sky High and then this one. And then you've got a lot of other ones, so it's just kind of been all over the place. This one has a very similar brush to the Too Faced one. It's kind of got that hourglass shape. And I just got on my inner corner. Everyone's done that once in their life. But the biggest thing is just let it dry and it'll come off, so. A trick that I like when you get mascara on like your skin here after I already did the foundation, take a spoolie and kind of just like flake it off. That way you don't have to take your fingernail and like really scrape it off. I went ahead and did the lashes really quick. The one that I did against the other one was the Ioni lashes and the Kiss My Lash But Better All Mine. Those are the ones that won, so I put those on real quick. The two bronzers that went against each other were the Maybelline Maxi Bronzer and the Hoola Benefit one. Hoola Benefit one, not really surprised since this is a cult classic, so we're just going to go ahead and go in with that. And I saw a video on TikTok recently talking about with bronzer how you only want to put it on like the perimeters. You don't want to put it like on as a contour, which I think for a long time people got really confused with it and like what it was supposed to do, and they kind of confused it as a contour powder, which really isn't what it's meant for. So I kind of want to go through a little bit and kind of show you what that video had. I can post the videos a little bit later if I can remember who did it, because I think I've started following her, so I'll have to find the video. But you just want to make sure that you don't put it in this area, because you just want to stay like in the perimeters and just where the sun hits the face primarily. Just kind of focusing up here, because if you put a lot right here, it's just, I don't want to flip off the camera, it's gonna give you that 5 o'clock shadow almost, and just, it's not a flattering look in person. So yeah, I didn't even do the other side and you can see the difference. So just make sure that you don't use it as a contour, and if you want to do contouring, make sure you get like a cool tone powder or something that works with your skin tone. I used the NYX blush in the shade Taupe, which is a really nice cool tone powder since I'm a bit fairer. But yeah, just, and it's funny because like we always start thinking that we know everything about like makeup, and then one day you learn that the way that you were doing it isn't the right way. So it's just a constant learning process, and you know, nobody's perfect with it, so just kind of follow the perimeter. Alright, we're gonna go into blush next. The two blushes that I did were the Bliss one in the shade Fuchsia Fever, which is the gradient blush that they have. I opened it upside down, but it's kind of got like a nice little gradient. You can either go really bright or kind of come to the cooler side. And the other blush that I have is the Balm, I'm just dropping everything. The Balm Beach one from the Balm, which it's a nicer, cooler tone one. Kind of peachy. Which the one that I actually won was the Bliss one, which I think that was the most surprised at all the polls that I had. Just because I think that since there was more bright colors in this, and it was kind of more of a color payoff there, I didn't think it was going to win, but I was surprised it did. So we're going to try to be really careful with this, because a lot can go a long way sometimes. So I'm just going to take that on my Real Techniques 004 brush, and I'm just going to like take a little bit. Not a whole lot, just because, you know, the kind of color that we're working with. And kind of just put on the apples of the cheeks there. And it blends out really nicely, so it's not really one that you have to sit there and tug at. Adds a really nice little bit of glow to the face. It kind of matches with the eyeshadow too. Another thing with the blush is that there's a time when people just want to sit there and do a bunch of circles, which I kind of do it and take it kind of up, because you kind of want it to be in that upper part of your face, so that way it kind of gives you a little bit of a contour effect, but that way like it's not so much of like a clown look, if that makes sense. We're coming to the final steps in this video, and now we're onto highlighter. The ones that I did were the Wet n Wild Blossom Glow highlighting powder. This is like really messy, and the lid actually broke, but it's a very nice champagne-y kind of color. And the other one I have is in the BH Desert Oasis palette. It's in the shade Serenity, which is this one. I believe that the one that won was the Wet n Wild one. This one was in the lead for a while, but then this kind of went out of nowhere. So we're going to go in with that. I'm going to take that on the Morphe M532 brush, and I'm just going to take that on the high points of the face. What am I sitting on? Oh, AirPods. Take that on the Cupid's bow a little bit. This is definitely a good affordable highlighter if you need one that's not too expensive. My hair keeps missing. It's funny because I feel like I haven't used it that much, and I've had it for like a long time, and that's the nice thing is that it's so intense when you put it on certain spots that you don't need a lot, so it lasts a long time and it's good. Alright, that's it for the highlighter. We'll move on to setting spray next. For the setting sprays, we had the Morphe Mattifying Continuous Mist and the Milani Make It Last. I really thought that this would win, but it actually ended up kind of falling behind early on, and this one actually won. So we're going to go ahead and use it. I talked about in my last video, I have had to start kind of cleaning off like the nozzle to make sure it works properly. Just because it gets congested really easily, which is kind of annoying. I'm going to see if it works. It should be okay. I'm going to take this and spray it. See, when you clean it, it's a much finer mist and it doesn't really like spit in your face. Which in the past, the black bottle that I had from them didn't do that. And I didn't have to clean it, so it really doesn't make sense. So I realized that I didn't do a pull for the lipstick, which I don't know why I forgot that. I think I was really flustered that day and had stuff going on. So I took the LA Girl lip pencil and Keep It Spicy, and I took the new e.l.f. Hydration, the little lip things. I don't have it with me. But it's the one that has like the heart in the middle and the shade Joyful, and I put it in the center, and I really like how it turned out. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me put on the makeup that everyone on Instagram chose. And if you have any other ideas for videos in the future, put them in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.